Hey guys, what is up? This is Matthew Davis, the movie lover here, and today I'm going to review the film that came out last year. Although it's been like almost 2 weeks since this movie came out, finally got to saw it, and that is Passengers, the new science fiction film released by Sony Pictures. Now, Passengers is a film that I was really looking forward to seeing. It stars Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence as two passengers who, well, first off, Chris Pratt wakes up inside of the ship that he was supposed to awaken 120 years from now, but ends up waking up too early. He basically wakes up 30 years when he had exactly 90 years before he could wake up, but he ends up waking up too soon. He finds out that he is alone, nobody is with him, except for this robot android named Arthur, who is a bartender, and he doesn't want to be lonely, so he has to decide if he wants to awaken one of the passengers, so he won't be alone. A woman, that's right, mainly a woman. He awakens this woman named Aurora, played by Jennifer Lawrence, of course, and mainly he does not want to say that it was him that woke her up. Then pretty much, that would mean that it was basically a murder, like she's trying to murder her for some reason. I don't really know, but basically they just do stuff and stuff like that. They just, there's a lot to do, believe it or not, there. Like, it's a really big ship, and there's so much to do, but that's not exactly the whole point of this movie. The fact is, this is more of a survival movie, and trying to be able to figure out how to do stuff, since they're the only two people that are awake on the ship. Now, let me get into the positives of this movie. This is a visually stunning movie. The visuals and CGI effects for when we first see the ship looks absolutely realistic. They actually had detail for this movie. They actually had detail, and the sets absolutely look gorgeous, all right? And there's a lot more to it, like when they're out in space, when they have those suits on and they're connected to the wire that allows them to pull themselves back in. That looks absolutely incredible. They were pretty much had some really interesting detail. And the soundtrack, too, absolutely had purpose to the movie. The soundtrack, I thought, fit really well with the movie. And now we get into my flaws, which are pretty much... I'm not going to say that this is much of a big deal but here's the thing. I thought Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence could have done a little bit better. There are just some scenes, like when Chris Pratt wakens up, I can notice that his acting is a little bit off at that part, and pretty much getting into what more the characters on how it's mostly just Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence in this movie. I wish there should have been a lot more character detail, so I could actually feel more for them, because we don't really get that much. We mainly just see Jennifer Lawrence's character, Aurora, and finding out that she had friends that wished her good luck and that they'll never see her again in pretty much ever, because they'll be dead at the time, because, they don't age when they're in the pods. But pretty much, if the characters were just a little bit more memorable, then it would have made a better movie. But another main problem I had with some of the editing a little bit, like the editing could have been a little bit better. Like, I've noticed some of the editing where it just cuts to another scene and just hasn't gotten to the right position yet. But that's the thing. If the story had a lot more character to it, it would have been a lot more. Like, the reason why it worked in Gravity so well, where there was only two main characters, which were George Clooney and Sandra Bullock, had more character to them and actually had a lot more to it. As well as The Martian, too. Like, you mostly see Matt Damon. He's the only one that's on Mars and trying to escape. That's the thing. The reason why Gravity and The Martian work so well is more story to it. I know a lot of people have backlashed Gravity so much, mainly because ever since it got taken out of theaters, it hasn't lived up like it did before, but I still thought that was probably my favorite movie of this decade by far. Am out of all the movies I've seen this past decade, I still think Gravity is the best one. Definitely have to say it's one of my all-time favorite movies. Not my top 10, of course, but there's been, I just wish the flaws of this movie could have lived up a little bit better. I was really looking forward to this movie and just got out a little disappointment with the characterization and the editing, which mainly should have had a little bit more to it. Like, if they had worked on the editing. Oh, and another thing. Pretty much, there were some sexual scenes which I really didn't think that were needed. Like, there's this one scene in the movie where Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt are at a lunch table, and Chris Pratt goes, "You are the most beautiful woman ever." And Jennifer Lawrence just gets on the table and just has sex with Chris Pratt. I really don't understand why that was needed. There's like 3 sex scenes. You don't see any nudity. There is nudity in this movie, but you pretty much see Chris Pratt's ass like 2 times. And, mainly, I just don't really think why they needed that, honestly. But I will say the most entertaining part has to be like the last act of the movie. But pretty much, I didn't think it was that slow. I mean, it definitely picks up into the middle, but I just thought it was kind of entertaining, and it was kind of entertaining, but the fact that it wasn't very well paced or acted. I mean, Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence are 2 really good actors, or Chris Pratt's a good actor and Jennifer Lawrence is a good actress. But more of their character detail could have been, or at least characters, should have been a lot more interesting. I'm not saying that they made pretty bad characters. I just wish there could have been more to them, as well as the editing, like when I noticed the shots for stuff like that. So, in the end, I can just say that the movie was fine. It was a fine movie, It's certainly not the type of film I would watch again. So, I gotta say, I got out a little bit disappointed with this movie. I didn't hate the movie. I kind of liked it. I mean, does it deserve like a 32% on Rotten Tomatoes? No, I didn't think it was that bad, but I do kind of see why the critics would hate it. I mean, hell, out of the movies that came out last week, I only saw 2 movies that came out last week, not at the exact same day. Those were Assassin's Creed and Passengers. I have not seen Sing. I will, though. I don't know when. I might not see it in 3D. I don't know, but I'll tell you this. I'll take Passengers over Assassin's Creed any day. So overall, guys, I just really... It's not a movie that I despise. I thought it was an alright movie. It could have had a little bit more effort to it. Would I recommend it? Sort of, kind of, but... Anyways, overall, I'm just gonna give the movie a 3 out of 5. It was an alright movie. I didn't think it was terrible. So yeah. But yeah, that doesn't count for a 2017 movie. No, it's a 2016 movie, but I will be seeing Patriots Day, which isn't a 2017 movie either. It's actually a 2016 movie. It was supposed to be released somewhere in December, but later got released in January. Just like Silence, which I'm not sure when Silence is going to come out. Hopefully really soon. I saw posters at the theater, so... And when I went to go see La La Land, there was a trailer for it. So yeah. Anyways, that was my After I Saw video for Passengers. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys later. Word out.